What if Ethiopia finally opened its own seaport? For years, Djibouti has been Ethiopia's lifeline to the sea. But that might soon change. If Ethiopia gets direct access to the Red Sea, it could, really reshape trade, power, and politics across the Horn of Africa. And Djibouti could face its biggest economic risk ever. Let's explore what could really happen if Ethiopia opens its own port. In 1993, when Eritrea became independent, Ethiopia lost its coastline and became landlocked. Since then, Ethiopia has relied almost completely on Djibouti's port for imports and exports. Today, around 90% of Ethiopia's trade passes through Djibouti. This made Djibouti one of the most important and profitable ports in East Africa. But it also made Ethiopia heavily dependent, paying billions of dollars every year for port services, transport, and customs. Now, Ethiopia wants to change that. Ethiopia's leaders say sea access is not just about trade, it's about survival and sovereignty. Recently, Ethiopia signed an agreement with Somaliland, a self-declared independent region in northern Somalia. The deal could allow Ethiopia to use part of Somaliland's coast, giving it a direct connection to the Red Sea or Gulf of Aden. This move caused tension with Somalia, which doesn't recognize Somaliland's independence. Still, for Ethiopia, the goal is clear: to reduce its dependence on Djibouti and control its own trade routes. If Ethiopia successfully builds and uses its own port, everything changes. Ethiopia would save huge amounts of money spent on Djibouti's port fees, move goods faster and cheaper, attract foreign investors who prefer countries with their own sea access, and strengthen its position as a regional power in the Horn of Africa. With more control over exports like coffee, livestock, and manufactured goods, Ethiopia could honestly boost its economy and create thousands of jobs. For Djibouti, however, this would be a huge problem. Its economy depends on Ethiopia more than any other country. If Ethiopia shifts its trade to its own port, Djibouti could lose most of its port income, the railway business, and thousands of jobs linked to logistics and trucking. Djibouti also carries heavy foreign debts, especially to China, for its port and railway projects. Without Ethiopian trade money, paying those debts could become very difficult. In short, Djibouti might not collapse completely, but it would face a serious economic crisis. If Ethiopia gains its own sea route, the balance of power in the Horn of Africa will shift. Ethiopia would become more independent and powerful. Countries like Somaliland, Eritrea, or Sudan could benefit by cooperating with Ethiopia for trade access. Meanwhile, Djibouti would have to diversify its economy, maybe depend more on foreign military bases, telecom, and finance instead of Ethiopian trade. Ethiopia says it prefers peaceful negotiation, not conflict. The government has made it clear that sea access should come through mutual agreement and regional cooperation. If handled wisely, this could lead to a stronger and more connected Horn of Africa, where Ethiopia, Djibouti, and their neighbors work together instead of competing. But if mistrust grows, it could also bring new tensions to one of the world's most strategic regions. So what happens if Ethiopia opens its own port? Ethiopia would win independence, cheaper trade, and stronger power, while Djibouti would face its greatest economic risk in decades. This story isn't just about ports, it's about the future of the Horn of Africa, where geography, economy, and politics all meet at the edge of the Red Sea. Ethiopia's historical trade routes. Before losing its coastline, Ethiopia had a rich history of trade through its ports. These routes connected Ethiopia to the rest of the world, bringing in goods and culture. Reclaiming sea access could revive these ancient trade routes, enriching Ethiopia's cultural and economic landscape. International reactions. Ethiopia's plan to open its own port has garnered mixed reactions globally. Some countries support Ethiopia's move towards independence, while others are concerned about regional stability. Understanding these international perspectives is key to navigating the geopolitical landscape. Technological advancements. Modern port construction involves cutting-edge technology. From automated cargo handling to advanced security systems, Ethiopia's new port could become a model of innovation. Embracing these technologies will be crucial for efficiency and competitiveness. For Ethiopia, gaining sea access is not just an economic move, but a cultural renaissance. The sea has always been a part of Ethiopia's heritage. Reclaiming access to the sea could do more than transform trade and strategy. It could reignite national pride and strengthen Ethiopia's cultural identity. This chapter reminds us that the Red Sea has always been part of Ethiopia's story, shaping its history, commerce, and connections to the wider world. If you found this exploration of Ethiopia's journey to the sea insightful, make sure to subscribe to the Land of Origins Official for more stories that uncover the hidden history and enduring spirit of this remarkable nation.